guys on MySpace or?
This is your Marijuana Cultivation Cannabis Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Glansberg, coming to you live from James A. Garfield Studios. Whether you're a first-time listener or you've been rolling with us since day one, I'm super stoked you're here. This podcast is all about getting into the nitty-gritty of cannabis growing and science. No fluff, no BS. Just real talk about the plant we all love. Before we get started, I want to address a promo that I posted about on my Instagram, MCC Pod, that I would be doing a giveaway during this episode. So here it is. The first person to send me a screenshot of their 5-star review to contactmccpod@gmail.com wins a $30 Amazon gift card. And we'll post your Instagram handle and everything on my Instagram, so you know it's legit. So go ahead and give me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. Take a screenshot of it and send it to contactmccpod@gmail.com. First person to do so gets a $30 Amazon gift card, e-gift card, and we'll feature you on our Instagram page as well as the winner. So it'll be kind of cool. Let's get into it. We're diving deep into the world of Landrace Strains, the OGs of the cannabis world. We'll also explore other cannabinoids besides THC that are making waves in the industry. And we'll unpack the controversies and loopholes surrounding the 2018 Farm Bill, including how it's reshaping the cannabis landscape in unexpected ways. You might think you know everything about cannabis, but trust me, there's always more to learn, so let's get into it. First up, let's talk about something called Landrace Strains. Now, if cannabis strains were a family tree, Landrace strains would be the roots. They're the original strains that have grown naturally in specific regions around the world for centuries, maybe even millennia. These are the pure, unadulterated genetics that have given rise to the hybrid strains we see today. So why should we care about the Landrace strains? Well, for starters, they offer unique cannabinoid and terpene profiles that you just can't find in modern hybrids. They've adapted to their environments over generations, developing resistance to local pests, diseases, and climate conditions. When you consume a Landrace strain, you experience cannabis in its most natural form, untouched by modern breeding. Some of those most famous Landrace strains you might see out there are Afghani, Thai, Durban Poison, Acapulco Gold, Lamb's Bread, Malawi Gold, and Panama Red. These strains have been the building blocks for many of the hybrids and cultivars that we enjoy today. For example, the legendary strain Skunk Number 1 that we all like to enjoy but probably don't like to grow because, well, the name says it all, is a hybrid of Afghani, Acapulco Gold, and Colombian Gold. So let's dive a bit deeper into a few of these strains. First, we have Afghani, originating from the Hindu Kush mountains of Afghanistan. This is a pure indica strain. It's renowned for its heavy resin production, making it awesome for hash production. It's characterized by its earthy, sweet aroma, and it's supposed to deliver a deeply relaxing effect. So if you ever enjoyed a strain that knocked you out, chances are it has some Afghani genetics in it. Here's where things get interesting. With the ongoing conflicts in Afghanistan, including the U.S. military presence and subsequent withdrawal, The traditional cultivation of Afghani landrace strains has been disrupted. Who'da thunk? This has raised concerns about the preservation of these genetics. There's even more controversy around Western breeders collecting these strains and possibly exploiting local farmers without fair compensation. Again, who'da thunk? Next up is Thai. This is a pure sativa strain from the jungles of Thailand, known for its uplifting effects and energetic effects. Thai has a citrusy, spicy aroma. Back in the 70s and 80s, Thai stick was all the rage and was also a term used to describe Thai buds tied to stems. And if you are a weird YouTube watcher like me and find like Thai landrace strain YouTube videos, you'll see those in the videos, the long skinny tied buds. Pretty cool. Thai genetics have contributed to many classic strains like haze. However, Thailand has had some of the harshest drug laws in the world until recently. People were imprisoned for decades for small amounts of cannabis. However, in 2022, Thailand became the first Southeast Asian country to decriminalize cannabis, but the laws are still a bit murky. That sudden shift has caused both excitement and confusion among locals and tourists alike. And that's getting really hairy even in the last 3 months, with the momentum shifting toward making cannabis illegal and not decriminalized again in Thailand. So that reefer madness is still wreaking havoc over there for whatever reason. All right, let's move to South Africa. Durban Poison, another pure sativa. Durban Poison is famous for its sweet, piney aroma and energetic, uplifting effects. It's a favorite among creatives and those who need a boost of focus and energy. Durban Poison is also known for its high levels of THCV, a lesser-known cannabinoid we'll talk about later. And to finish her off, let's mention Acapulco Gold from Mexico. This legendary strain was extremely popular in the 60s and 70s. It's a sativa-dominant strain known for its rich, golden buds and a complex flavor profile that includes notes of toffee and coffee. Acapulco Gold offers a powerful cerebral high that's both energizing and euphoric. However, due to the Mexican government's crackdown on cannabis cultivation and the influence of cartels, authentic Acapulco Gold has become increasingly rare. Some believe that the original genetics are lost forever and have significantly changed over time due to cross-pollination and hybridization. And I've heard this a lot about many strains out there that we really don't have pure sativa or indica strains, and the labels are kind of fibbing it a little bit, whether we're buying seeds or buying flower from the dispensary. So kind of sad. But hopefully as legalization proceeds and we can do more research, maybe that stuff will get straightened out and we'll get that variety again versus everything sort of mixed together like it sort of seems these days. So we've touched a little bit on the issues with these, but in my head when I first started learning about this stuff, I'm like, why doesn't everyone have landrace strains? Why aren't they more common? One of the reasons is they are actually a little bit difficult to cultivate outside of their native environment. So if we're not in Afghanistan, that Afghani might not be the easiest to grow. These landrace strains, they're adapting to these conditions over generations and generations and generations without, that adulteration from other genetics. Also, the cannabis industry has been focused on creating hybrids that combine desirable traits from multiple strains, to get that higher THC content, shorter flowering times, disease resistance, and, your flavor profiles. So that's why, that's obviously a good thing most of the time, but when all the focus is on this sort of thing, the landrace strains can go by the wayside and we might not be preserving those pure genetics. But there has been a growing interest in preserving these landrace strains today, not just because of their unique effects and flavors, but also just for their genetic diversity, As we continue to hybridize cannabis, we risk losing some of these original genetics. And that's where organizations and seed banks come in. They are working to preserve and share landrace genetics with growers and breeders. So good on them. This effort isn't without controversy, however. There's a term that you might see out there now called biopiracy, which refers to the exploitation of natural resources or indigenous knowledge without proper compensation. Some argue that Western companies are profiting off these landrace strains without giving back to the communities that have cultivated them for generations. I don't have a big opinion on this. I think, it's a plant. And I think if we start getting too possessive over it, then all of a sudden we're Monsanto, no? So, if you're a grower getting bored of normal auto flower or Bruce Branner strain that you're used to and want to try a landrace strain, give it a try. It can be challenging, but rewarding. Just keep in mind that these strains may require different care compared to modern hybrids. They might have longer flowering times, they might grow taller, or they might be more sensitive to your environment. But the payoff is experiencing a piece of cannabis history. That's pretty damn cool if you ask me. Now, before we move on, let's touch on the cultural significance of landrace strains. These plants have been part of local traditions, rituals, and medicine in their native regions for centuries. They hold a deep connection to the land and the people who've cultivated them over generations. For example, in Morocco, cannabis has been cultivated for hashish production for centuries. In regions like the Rift Mountains, it's not just a crop, it's a way of life. Similarly, in India, cannabis is intertwined with religious practices, especially in Hinduism and the worship of Lord Shiva. Shout out that one FX fantasy football show. Yeah, that. Shifting gears, cannabinoids. So most people, when they think of cannabis, THC is the star of the show. It's the main psychoactive compound responsible for that high we all know and love. But cannabis is a complex plant with over 100 different cannabinoids, each offering unique effects and potential benefits. Today we're going to shine some light on some of these lesser known cannabinoids. First up, CBD, cannabidiol. Okay, well, maybe CBD isn't exactly lesser known these days. It's exploded in popularity over the past few years, showing up in everything from oils and tinctures to gummies and skincare products. But it's worth discussing because CBD offers a host of potential therapeutic benefits without the psycho effects of THC. I actually really like CBD, and if I'm not looking for the psychoactive effect, I will stick to the CBD. And however you ingest it, you will have those positive effects with none of the intoxicating effects, which I'm not saying are negative, but if you're working or whatever you might be doing that you don't want to be altered, CBD is a great way to get those therapeutic effects without feeling quote unquote high. In fact, the FDA has approved a CBD-based medication called Epidiolex for treating severe forms of epilepsy. What's fascinating is how CBD interacts with the THC. When consumed together, CBD can actually mitigate some of the psychoactive effects of THC, leading to a more balanced experience. So when you're at the dispensary and you're looking at the tag, make sure there's a little CBD in there. If you see 0%, that screams synthetic to me. And that's also why some strains with the balanced THC to CBD ratio are preferred by those seeking medicinal benefits that want something without an overwhelming high. The lack of regulation has led to issues with product quality and labeling, however, so be careful out there. I found a study by the FDA that many CBD products contain significantly less or more CBD than advertised, and some even contained undisclosed THC, leading to failed drug tests and legal issues for consumers. Next, let's talk about CBG, cannabidiol. Email me at contactmccpod@gmail.com and please correct my pronunciation after you win that Amazon gift card. CBG is often referred to as the mother cannabinoid because it's a precursor to other cannabinoids like THC and CBD. In young cannabis plants, CBGA, aka the acidic form, is present in higher amounts. And as the plant matures, enzymes convert CBGA into THCA, CBDA, or CBCA. CBG itself is non-psychoactive and has shown promise in studies for its potential anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and neuroprotective properties. It's also being researched for its potential to help with conditions like glaucoma, inflammatory bowel disease, and even certain cancers. How cool is that? Because CBG is present in low concentrations in most strains, it's considered a minor cannabinoid. However, breeders are now developing strains with higher CBG content to tap into its potential benefits. But here's the catch. Due to its low natural abundance, extracting CBG is expensive, unfortunately. This will obviously make CBD products a bit pricier than their CBD counterparts. And some critics argue that the high cost may not be justified given limited research compared to CBD and THC. Then, there's CBC, cannabichromine, another non-psychoactive cannabinoid. CBC is interesting because it appears to work synergistically with other cannabinoids in what's known as the entourage effect. This idea is that the various compounds in cannabis work together to enhance each other's effects. CBC has shown potential in research for its anti-inflammatory, anesthetic, and antidepressant properties. It might also promote neurogenesis, the growth of new brain cells. However, CBC is often overlooked in the industry. The focus on THC and CBD has led to a lack of attention and investment in researching other cannabinoids like CBC. Now, THCV and make sure to email me at contactmccpod@gmail.com correcting my pronunciation, THCV or tetrahydrocannabivarin. THCV is similar in structure to THC but produces different effects. At lower doses, THCV is believed to act as a CB1 receptor antagonist, meaning it can actually suppress some of the psychoactive effects of THC. At higher doses, it may become a CB1 agonist, potentially producing psychoactive effects. THCV is intriguing because it has been studied for its potential to suppress appetite, making it an interest in weight management research. Sounds a lot more healthy to me than the thing that everyone's taking nowadays. What's it called? I don't know. Email me, contactmccpod@gmail.com. What's that pill everyone's taking these days to stay skinny and they have big heads now in Hollywood? Anyway. It may also have potential benefits for regulating blood sugar levels and could be helpful in conditions like diabetes. However, the commercial availability of THCV-rich strains or products is limited. Some see this as a missed opportunity, while others point out that the science is still in its early stages. There's also skepticism about the marketing claims of some products that tout THCV as a diet weed, which may oversimplify its effects and potentially mislead consumers. Another cannabinoid worth mentioning is CBN, or cannabinol. CBN is formed as THC ages and oxidizes. It's mildly psychoactive, but its real claim to fame is its potential as a sedative. CBN is often associated with the couch lock effect, making it a cannabinoid of interest for those seeking help with sleep. And as you're growing yourself, the longer you cure, the more of your flower will contain more CBN. I don't know how to word that very well, but you get what I'm saying. So the longer you're curing, especially as we hit that 1 year mark and beyond, we're getting a lot more of that CBN. And then another way we can get more of that CBN is having a higher ratio of that amber trichome when we chop. All right. The controversy with CBN, though, is that some researchers argue that the sedative effects attributed to CBN may actually be due to the combination of CBN with other compounds, or simply because it's found in older cannabis, which has a different overall profile. So this calls into question some of the marketing claims by companies selling CBN products as sleep aids. But try it yourself. Now let's not forget about terpenes. While not cannabinoids, terpenes are aromatic, and they are found in cannabis. It contributes, to its smell and flavor. And they also interact with these cannabinoids to influence the overall effects of the strain. For example, myrcene is a terpene known for its earthy aroma and is thought to enhance THC's psychoactive effects. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. Another one worth mentioning is limonene, which has a citrusy scent, no kidding, and is associated with uplifting effects. However, the terpene industry has its own set of controversies. Some companies add synthetic terpenes to cannabis products to enhance flavor or effects. Critics argue that synthetic terpenes lack the complexity of natural ones and may not interact with cannabinoids in the same way. We're looking at you, New York City. There's also concern about the safety of vaping products containing added terpenes, especially after the 2019 outbreak of vaping-related lung injuries linked to additives in vape cartridges. Now, I will say, it's my recollection that those injuries were off black market carts, not from dispensaries, but I could be wrong. Email me at contactmzcpod@gmail.com. Understanding the full spectrum of cannabinoids and terpenes in cannabis is key to selecting strains that best suit your needs, whether you're seeking therapeutic benefits, a particular type of high, or specific flavors and aromas. As research continues, we're learning more about how these compounds work individually and together. And it's an exciting time in the cannabis world, with the potential for new products and treatments emerging as we deepen our understanding. Also, time for caution. With the rapid growth of the industry, not all products are created equal. Locally, where I am in Canada, someone just posted in our local Reddit about at a local cannabis festival, they took something like, 20 milligrams, something not outrageous, of THC, and it was someone with a high tolerance, and they were basically in bed for 4 days out of their minds high. So to me, that screams THCP. Anyway, so next time you're choosing a strain, consider looking beyond just the THC content. Explore strains rich in CBD, CBG, or other cannabinoids. You might discover new effects and benefits that you didn't expect. But always do your due diligence and look for lab-tested products from reputable sources if you don't have a legacy source. All right, now let's tackle a topic that's been stirring up quite a bit of controversy lately. 2018 Farm Bill and its loopholes. In December 2018, the U.S. government passed the Agriculture Improvement Act, commonly known as the 2018 Farm Bill. This legislation legalized the cultivation and sale of hemp at the federal level, removing it from the list of Schedule I controlled substances. Sounds great, but with many laws, the devil is in the details. First, let's look at what the bill decides what hemp is. And we all know it's just weed, always has been. But we're going to play by their rules, right? Under the Farm Bill, hemp is defined as cannabis sativa L with a delta 9 THC concentration of not more than 0.3% on a dry weight basis. Delta 9 THC is the primary psychoactive compound in cannabis. By setting this threshold, the law aimed to distinguish between non-intoxicating hemp and intoxicating marijuana. So, hemp and its derivatives are now federally legal provided they meet the THC limit. This opened the door for a booming CBD industry since CBD can be extracted from hemp. But, as a lot of us are aware, here's where things got complicated. Some enterprising individuals and companies began exploring the chemical landscape of hemp-derived compounds. They discovered that through chemical processes, they could convert CBD into other cannabinoids, including delta 8, delta 10, HHC, and even THCO acetate. Delta 8 THC is structurally similar to delta 9, but is reported to just produce a milder psychoactive effect. And it's found in trace amounts in cannabis, but can be synthesized from CBD. Gross. Because the Farm Bill only specified delta 9, some argued that delta 8 THC derived from hemp is legal. This interpretation led to a surge in delta 8 products hitting the market: gummies, vapes, tinctures, you name it. Consumers in states where cannabis is still illegal suddenly had access to products that would get them high legally. Or so I guess they thought. The loophole didn't go unnoticed. State regulators and the DEA began to push back, arguing that synthesized cannabinoids like delta 8 THC are illegal under the Federal Analog Act. And those of you 80s and 90s babies like me might have found some analogs on the internet back in the Wild Wild West days, right? So, they're still illegal under the Federal Analog Act, according to the DEA, which treats analogs of Schedule 1 substances as Schedule 1 themselves. All right. The DEA issued an interim final rule in 2020 stating that all synthetically derived tetrahydrocannabinols remain Schedule 1 controlled substances. Obviously, not a lot of places listened. This has led to a lot of confusion and legal gray areas. Some states have moved to ban Delta 8 THC and similar products outright, while others have no regulations in place, while some have put limits on the quantity of hemp-derived milligrams, say, in a single package. Consumers and businesses are left navigating a complex and uncertain legal landscape. And it gets even more convoluted. Some companies have started selling products with Delta 9 THC derived from hemp, so long as the Delta 9 THC content remains under that 0.3% on a dry weight basis. I see this everywhere when I'm in the States. By creating edibles like gummies that are large enough in size, they can include enough Delta 9 THC to produce psychoactive effects while technically staying within the legal limit. So this 2018 Farm Bill legalized weed. It legalized weed in the States. So good job, US. You're like us now in Canada. Obviously, there's a concern with safety when you're synthesizing all this crap. And I don't have to preach to you guys that are growing your own. You're doing it for a reason. So I don't need to go into the risks. And we went through the spice and K2 days back in the days. And again, I don't need to go over that with this audience. So, you know, what do we take away from the 2018 Farm Bill? I do think it was a significant step forward in terms of legalization and the growth of the industry. And like I said, it basically legalized weed. But I think it also led to that broader conversation we're seeing about legalizing cannabis. I know the the Kamala Walsh ticket has a platform for legalization, and I know the Trump Vance ticket, I don't know if it's on their ticket or on their a platform yet, but I know that the latest they've been saying is they're for legalization. All right. So, fun time. for us that like to watch this stuff unfold, and also a cautious time for those of you that are thinking about starting businesses. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving a 5-star review. I hate to ask for that. It's annoying. I don't like it when people do it, but turns out if you don't ask, people don't do it. And I'm the same way. I'm a big podcast guy, and when I get reminded to do it, I do it. So I figured other people might be like that. Okay. Again, contact mccpod@gmail.com. First person to email me a screenshot of their 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or their platform of their choice gets a $30 Amazon gift card. And we'll also throw you on our Instagram, mccpod, if you'd like. Let me know what I messed up as well at that same email address. It's been fun. I'm a little sick, so if my voice sounds weird, my apologies. I think I got the COVID, but we're gonna power through.
Miss each other.
Yeah, I'm gonna cry myself to sleep every night.
Me too.
When I'm out partying.